Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Channel. The website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. In the next 10, 15, 18 minutes, I'm going to capsulize everything taking place right here in Kenosha. We're in front of Firehouse number 4. This firehouse was built in 1915. It was built for Jeffrey Motors that then became Nash. They're going to build a huge auto plant here. They want a firehouse on this side of the tracks. We'll take a look at the firehouse also, but I'm mainly going to talk to, hold on. Donald Trump. No, Donald Trump. This is I can't talk to you right now, Don. I'm on TV. I'm doing a show opening, but I am going to send you the information about Dick Durbin. I am going to send you the information about opening up Yucca Mountain again. But right now I'm doing a show opening, so look for the mail. I'll send this stuff to the White House. Look for what I'm going to tell you about Yucca Mountain and Dickie Durbin. And hold on one second, I'm going to finish this opening. So in the next 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to talk to the members of the Badger Heritage, part of Antique Motorcycle Clubs of America. We're going to look at some great motorcycles. We're going to listen a little bit to their meeting. And I'm having a great time in Kenosha. Don't forget my website, teamchicago.tv. Rhonda Dutton purchased this firehouse in 2009. And she has been remodeling, restoring, making this firehouse a marvelous, beautiful building in Kenosha. I should point out she is a carpenter, and the woodworking skill really comes through. But one of the first guests to show up, one of the first members of the Badger Heritage chapter is Chris Tribby. And he's unloading his motorcycle that is even older than this firehouse that was built in 1915. All right, it's really a one-man deal, so just if something goes wrong, just be there. Just be ready to catch him. Catch him, right. Right. There you have it. This is an Excelsior motorcycle made by the Excelsior Supply Company in Chicago. Hi there, my name is Chris Tribby from Caledonia, Wisconsin, just south of Milwaukee. What I have here is a 1911 Excelsior. This bike was made in Chicago, and I found it from an estate of the original owner. So I'm actually the second owner of this machine. The best we can tell, the bike was sitting for about 70 years in the corner of the gentleman's garage. And fast forward to 2015, gentleman passed away in 2012, and the estate sale was made public, and I was able to obtain the bike from the original family. So when I got the bike originally, it was pretty much a shell, all rusted together, nothing moved. A lot of parts were missing, but the cool thing, the original gas tank was still there. And the gas tank is made out of copper, which means there's no rust inside the tank, which is really a plus. And once we look at the tank, you're going to see how cool it is. You can see some of the actual writing yet. So I spent about 18 months totally refurbishing the bike with the help from a lot of different people. We had to machine a lot of parts, make a lot of parts. In October of last year, we got it running for the first time. So what's exciting is we're going to be riding this bike cross country from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon come September in an event called the Cannonball Run. And it'll be about 122 different motorcycles on the run. And the rules are they have to be built from 1928 or earlier. I'm in a class of bikes that is 100 years old or older. So I'll be riding one of the oldest bikes on that group. I'd love to show you some of the bike if you care to look around. So as we can see, this is a single cylinder, 30 cubic inch, 4 horsepower. There is no transmission, no clutch. Once the motor is running, you've got a direct drive pulley, and to transfer the motion from the engine to the wheel, you put tension on the belt, which then rotates the wheel. To start the bike, you've got to actually pedal to get everything going, and I'm going to give you a demonstration how the bike starts here in a little bit. So if there was a clutch, you could consider this is the clutch. As you tighten this, you start to go. We have a little bit of suspension here in the front end, so we have some internal springs, so there is a little bit of suspension on the front end. This is that gas tank I was telling you about, and take a look at that Excelsior Auto Cycle. Excelsior Supply Company, Chicago. In 1912, Schmitt Bicycle Company bought Excelsior. So this 1911 is the last year of a pure Excelsior machine, which is really cool. If you look up here on the handlebars, one really unique thing that Excelsior did is they didn't use any cables for the throttle control. So this whole sleeve turns for your carburetor. This is your throttle. And as you can see, everything is actuated by rods through the handlebar, down onto the frame. It goes down here, and it actually goes through the frame to the other side of the engine. A rod which then actuates the throttle control on the carburetor. The timing, advance and retard, is the right handlebar, and it's the same basic deal. Steel rods coming down, which then goes down here, which controls your timing, as well as if you continue, it opens up the exhaust valve as a compression release. And once the bike is running, you're going to fully advance it. The other neat thing about this engine is this is your intake valve here. And on the intake valve, there is no push rod or rocker arm. It's called an atmospheric valve. So the downward motion of the piston is creating a vacuum which opens that exhaust valve, the intake valve. When the piston goes up, it pushes that valve closed. That's called the atmospheric intake. Carburetor, no air cleaner. I've got a panhead fuel filter because there was no fuel filter originally. And then of course these are your points, condenser. And inside the little box here, this is where I've set up my coil and my battery. I'm going to run a 12-volt system just so it's easier to get parts if I needed any parts.
And you're going to have to run lights if you run on the highway?
Yep, I'm going to run bicycle lights, battery-powered bicycle lights.
Right. Wow, this is too cool.
I want to explain a little bit about this what looks like a gas tank. It actually has an oil container inside. So we have one cap here for your oil and one cap for your gasoline. It holds 1.5 gallons of gas and 1 quart of oil. This is your petcock for the oil, and this is your petcock for the gas. Now this is a total loss oil system. So the oil goes from the gas tank into the engine, and it accumulates in the engine until it gets so full you have to drain it out the bottom of the crankcase. So every time I'm going to stop and get gas, I'm going to drain all the oil out of the crankcase and then put 4 more ounces back in, which is your starting amount of oil in the crankcase. To meter the oil, you're going to turn the oil petcock, and there's a glass, sight glass, and you're going to count 8 drops of oil per minute. That's how you properly adjust the oil flow. And then the gas, you just turn on all the way. And I've got clear hose here so I can see if I have any fluid going through. So now I have the gasoline on. I've got my oil opened for a drip. This is my ignition switch. So now we have power. And I can check power at the points. And I've got a spark at the point, so I know everything is good. So now let's see if it'll start. So we have the ignition on. We're going to open up our exhaust valve so we have less compression, less resistance. I'm going to tension up my belt a little bit. So as I turn my pedals, it's turning the engine. Exhaust valve operating. So let's take us for a little ride. Off the kick stand. Going, I gotta pedal the bike like a bicycle to get it going. Then I'm gonna be engaging belt tension. Oh man, that's the amazing thing.
As Chris rides the 1911 Excelsior motorcycle, K model, it brings back memories, and we're to go back to 2001. Kirstein Cycle Center, North Judson, Indiana. This is Jim Kirstein and his late dear wife, Nella, riding on their 1910 Harley-Davidson single cylinder. Sunday drive on the Harley-Davidson. And Jim Kirstein was kind enough to let me ride this 1910 Harley.
I did that with these. Okay, now the first thing that we're going to do, turn the fuel on, and it is on. We're going to give it just a little bit of oil, not very much, about that much.
And you leave it there?
Just leave it there when you're
okay.
riding. Yep, and then we will retard the spark all the way.
All the way out is retard.
Yeah, right.
And throttle which way?
Just leave it right.
Or which way does it go on?
It twists on.
Twists in, okay.
Yeah, you got it all.
So they
the way.
both twist in. Advancing the spark is in,
right.
Throttle is in.
Yeah, got the belt tightened up.
Okay.
Okey-dokey. Got the pedal up here. Okay, turn the switch on. Okay, just start pedaling. Let this the throttle on. That's all. You know that's minimal. Now release this.
Oh yeah, so you can...
Advance the spark to about right there. And give it some gas.
Take it off the stand.
Yep.
the spark where it's at. So puddle and get going and then pull this?
No, just to put a little bit on it. Maybe one more. Okay, now you should take that.
What a thrill. The opportunity to ride this 1910 Harley-Davidson. As I take a ride around Kirstein's Cycle Center to south of North Judson, Indiana. Jim giving me this opportunity to ride this 1910. What a great motorcycle. The thing that impresses me the most is how fast it is, just idling. The torque, like single piston, 31 cubic inches. And think back to 1910. What else could you go on this fast with? Model Ts? I don't think they were this fast. A horse? Wagons, horse-drawn wagons and buggies. This thing just clips along. Driven by a belt drive, and according to the Harley-Davidson handbook for 1910, the belt drive was the most efficient transmission available. A leather belt, waterproof. And back in 1910, this thing retailed for $210. Plus 1910 was the last year with the throttle on the left and the advance on the right. They changed it the year after that. Okay, I don't know how much I can thank Jim and his wife Nella and Randy that came out to help get these bikes outside so we could ride.
It was a great day in Indiana. Jim Kirstein allowed me to ride this gorgeous 1910 Harley-Davidson single cylinder, and this bike is much faster than I ever imagined. It was such a treat. And as we see the Excelsior, the 1911 Excelsior, in front of this 1915 fire station, the meeting begins.
Josh is our secretary is out at the Build flat track races today out in Beaver Dam, supporting that. And John Afline is off on some personal business today, so John couldn't make it either. So Chris and I will be holding down the fort and getting things going. So without further ado, Chris Bilda with our treasurer's report.
All right, fast treasury report. Since we last met at the winter dinner, I managed to file our taxes, so it's a good thing.
And as the Badgers have their meeting, earlier I had a chance to talk to Kevin Griffith and Mike Dittman, and they're going to tell me about their two Harley-Davidsons.
My name is Kevin, and it's a 56 Panhead. Year of my birth, so it's not really that old, but totally restored.
Tell me some of the features on what made a panhead.
Well, the panhead has got a pan head.
Right.
The pans over here they look like pans, so they call them panheads.
Right, and they started making panheads like in 48. 48. And then, is this a dual glide then, or?
No, this is a hydroglide. This
hydroglide.
Rigid
So
rear. It's got a
rigid rear end. So dual glide became when they put dual shocks on the bed.
That's a dual glide right there.
Okay.
And I believe that's a 60.
Right.
And that's a dual
it's got shocks.
It's got
you
shocks
still have
on
a
the back.
rigid.
Right. I got what they call the pogo stick for the seat.
Right, and that's your suspension.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
And so this is totally restored, 1955. 56. Same age as you.
Same age as me.
Right. Any other bikes you got at home, or?
Yeah, I've got a 43 WLC, which is totally restored. And I got a 94 Electroglide, 77 Honda Matic. It's a chick magnet. And I also got a 73 CB350 Honda.
This is a gorgeous 1956 Harley-Davidson, and next to it was a 1946 Harley-Davidson Knucklehead. And we're going to talk to Mike Dittman.
This is Mike Dittman. I'm from Watertown, Wisconsin. This is a 1946 Knucklehead. The Knucklehead was made from 1936 to 1947, and why it's called the Knucklehead is because of the shape of the upper cylinder head is supposed to look like your fist or your knuckle. This is an FL model, which is a 74 cubic inch. They also made a 61 cubic inch. Because the war, it was the end of the war in 1946. This bike was a later serial number, so it was after the war, so it would have had some chrome on it, whereas the ones made during the war would have very little chrome on it, very little silver paint. This one's been restored. It's kind of almost over-restored, but that's kind of how I like them.
And this is a tank shift compared
Yes,
to how long? When did it? Was it all knuckleheads tank shift?
Yes,
or?
yes.
Okay.
This is a 4-speed tank shift foot clutch. It has a front brake and a rear foot brake. That's about the only difference compared to the Hydraulics. It has a Springer front end.
Oh yeah, the spring, right, and still a rigid tail.
Yep.
You got the post on for the seat.
Pogo seat
Right.
is your only suspension really in the front. It has a Springer front end. This one I have aluminum wheels on it just because it's easier to clean, and they're only 16-inch wheels on here. They also made an 18-inch wheel in the 30s, but I don't need any more height.
Thank you, Kevin and Mike. And now we're going to listen to some information about the Brewtown Rumble in Milwaukee.
We have the bike show, which is there still openings for the bike show?
Yep, we got a lot of openings set for the bike show. We'll have a maximum of 130, and I think this location is going to be just awesome. If you think of the old rocker box, if you will, on Center Street, so now we're going to be on 5th Street from National all the way to Mobcraft, which is where Conahitos is. So it's 3 blocks of double parking, a lane in the middle. It's going to be just, I think, an awesome location for this year's Brewtown Rumble.
I agree. I think we have plenty of space. We're going to have 2 bands. We have God's Outlaw playing at 11:45. The hours for the Rumble are 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then we have Radio playing in the afternoon. We, of course, as we said, have the bike show. We have plenty of vendors. There's going to be plenty of food vendors. The local restaurants are all going to be open for attendees. We have the Pinup Girl contest going on. And then to kick it off, we're going to start on Friday evening. There will be a pre-party at Nick's Anvil Inn. Also, Boone and Crockett is going to have a band playing, and that's on South Kinnickinnick, right?
Thank you for the info. And now we're going to talk to RJ Jacobs. He's going to tell us about his Harley-Davidson Police Special First Responder Motorcycle.
Hello, I'm Rick Jacob. I got a 1965 Police Special. I've been a first responder for Silver Lake Fire Department and Kenosha County Dive Team. I've had it 32 years in service as a first responder. It's a 1965 Police Special, first electric start, last panhead, and a Police Special.
So any features that make this unique?
Well, it still has the red lights. It has a fire extinguisher. And
did it have a siren?
The siren's off right now. It does have a siren.
Okay.
Yeah. It has a, like I said, 12-volt system, bigger tanks for the Police Special. Holds 5 gallons and has a reserve, so you got a gallon reserve. Has a damper on the front end. It has a set throttle, so you can go down the road and you could shoot. So right now you have to roll the throttle back. This keeps the damper, keeps it going down a straight line.
Right. Very good. So it has no spring return, so you got to remember.
No spring return. Not at all.
Right. And how long have you had this bike?
I've had this bike probably about 38 years.
Yeah. And how many times have you gone through it?
3 times.
So it runs good?
Yeah, it runs
good. Good, dependable bike. Where do you live?
I live in, right now I'm in Paddock Lake, Wisconsin. I was in Silver Lake, Wisconsin.
Right, right.
Thank you, RJ. We had a great time at the Firehouse in Kenosha. For more information on the Badger chapter, their website is badgerheritage.com. For information on the Brewtown Rumble in Milwaukee, it's brewtownrumble.com. And a special thanks to Rhonda and Ken. That great Firehouse, built in 1915. It is beautiful. Ken's website is kensbritishclassics.com. To get hold of me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Send me your comments. Let me know what you think. I had a great time in Kenosha. And these are the 2 links, History and Geography for Senator Durbin and Dan Schmitt's message on Yucca Mountain. Follow that on YouTube or just search with History for Senator Durbin and Yucca Mountain with Dan Schmitt. Thanks for watching, and watch other clips on YouTube.